Welcome everybody, DM Geezer Jim here. Sorry if you're catching me on Twitch, you hear the intro again. But welcome back, just running a tutorial video again with Campaign Cartographer 3 today. We're not really going to focus on anything particular, just probably do a free draw type of a thing for the next hour or so. I've been kind of kicking around what I want to play with. I got a couple new drawing styles, but I want to kind of stick with a little bit generic for right now to maybe just work through some of the basic uses of the software, set up a battle map or two, and talk about how you could potentially stock out the battle map if you wanted to. Currently right here I've got a virtual tabletop map that we have run. This is an in-play map that my group is using as a battle through the graveyard in El Turl as part of the Descent into Avernus campaign. This is all built using Campaign Cartographer 3. When we play this, I actually share the screen over to the group via Discord, and it's a little bit labor intensive, but you can very easily and quickly move tokens around as long as your party is decent with cardinal directions, saying go north 5 squares or move me west 30 feet or whatever. It's pretty quick and easy. It saves a little bit of saves an extra tab, saves some software, saves some clicking back and forth for the group. As long as they've got D&D Beyond and Discord, they've got good visuals. People in my group's got good visuals. If you prefer the virtual tabletops, Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, Owlbear Rodeo, whatever, Campaign Cartographer 3 still works just fine for it. You're simply exporting your maps in PNG and JPEG format to import into your other VTTs. So, yeah, let's go ahead and start drawing. We're going to just do, let's do like an outdoor map with a road, a little bit of a forest area with like a roadhouse type of a thing off to the side of it. I actually have a map similar to that on my Etsy right now, and my Patreon for patron followers. So let's go ahead and create a new map. So we're going to go to File. We're going to hit New, Save Changes, yes. We're going to go with Dungeon. I'm going to go with SS4. The symbol set for Dungeons of Schley. It's relatively versatile, though. I mean, the art set you're looking at is mostly of that, so we'll just go ahead and consistent. We're gonna go 200 by 200, decent sized map. That's the same map that you're looking for here. That'll give us a little bit of room for an outdoor environmental effects, a road, some trees, and a yard, in addition to your stage house, your roadhouse, your roadside inn and tavern, whatever you want to call it, your safe house, coach house, so many different names for it. Let's go with a nice and neutral earth and grass 3, just a plain Jane. We're not going to get super fancy here. The main thing we're doing is just drawing a map, setting up, just chit-chatting while we actually use the software. My tutorials series so far has kind of focused on features at taking the software apart bit by bit, showing you how each thing works and putting it back together. This is just going to be drawing. We're just going to go in and have some fun actually making a map this time. So your default folder should go into the documents. Then you'll have your map storage folder, and then all of your subfolders. What do I want to call this one? Chimney crime. Let's just go to buildings. Sure, why not? And make it a new building. Twitch stage rest house version 1 SS4 version 1. Just to remind myself the symbol set that I used, what I built it for, all that. Call maps, whatever you want. Boom. Get a nice clear map. We're up. Okay. Excuse me. To grid or not to grid, this is a battle map, so we are going to go ahead and draw a grid on it. Grid can affect you consciously, subconsciously. As you draw things out on a map, the grid will influence how you draw. If you're trying to draw a map, kind of a natural flow of a landscape, a forest, a stream, or any of that, grid's not super necessary. But if you're using a battle map, I recommend, if you're setting this up to use for a virtual tabletop or an actual tabletop map, an RPG map, make sure you use a grid for the simple fact that you want to make sure that the features of your map have enough space to be useful to your play group. So we're going to set the grid up at 5. Doesn't have to be there all the time. You can use the layer effects to nice and simply click on H to hide it. It goes away. I want it there for now. We're going to go ahead and freeze it, though. That way we don't affect it. I can't now select it and drag it around. So once grid is laid in, I'm going to go down to my snaps and make sure that my snap is set at 5 foot, 5 foot snap, cursor snap. Okay. I don't always use snap, but just as a rule of habit, I try to make sure that, you know, when I enable grid, freeze grid, enable snap, because I mean, all I got to do is click the button there, and then the snap effect is gone. I'm back to free mode draw. So when you sit down to draw a map, some people say do a rough sketch on paper. You know what? I'm of the mindset that have an idea of what you want to draw before you start drawing. If you have a little napkin sketch, that's great. If you have an idea in your head, that's great. Campaign Cartographer is smooth enough and simple enough to, you can get halfway through it, decide you don't like some of your things, and do some quick changes to adapt it. So yeah, there's a lot of techniques that I'm still learning. I'm not going to try to use them because they'll simply slow me down. Things such as node editing. If I build a wall, a square, here, let me just, it's going to be bad, but this isn't a for real wall. But if I click that wall on and say like I didn't like it, which obviously I didn't like it, and I wanted to be able to change it a little bit, I could go to here, delete nodes, and it turns it into that. So just so you know, whenever you're drawing with Campaign Cartographer, the more nodes you can use, the more control you'll have over stuff. So you can delete node to make a room smaller. You can add node to change the shape of a room. You can remove this wall, increase the floor space of your floor, blah, blah. There's a lot of different things we can do with it. And we'll play with that as we go. So 200 foot by 200 foot map. Let's do a north-south running road. And then we'll put the gathering of trees and the building off to the east side of it. Just nice and simple. First thing I'm going to do is go to my terrain tool, lay in my road. And I'm going to go with kind of a dirt brown 5, a very dark dirt. This is going to go in a curved tool. It was supposed to go in a curved tool. Dirt brown straight is not what I wanted. We'll go to terrain drawing tools then and find it here. Dirt brown 5 curved. Okay, so the drawing tool itself will curve along the nodes that you add. If you don't add nodes, it's going to go straight. If you add lots of little clicks, you can very well get the control. So with the grid in mind, I'm trying to go for about a 10 foot, 12 foot. We're going to go ahead and have it sway out. Well, that's not a good spot for it. I'll add the sway and the path off to the coach house here in a second. We're going to hit that. Typically, I run with effects off so I can draw faster. It doesn't hurt anything to click them on and off and on and off. And while we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and click Activate Effects, hit Apply. I think I have a custom set. Oh, I didn't load up my SS4 custom set, did I? I think, yeah, we're going to go with Desert for now because that adds a little bit of what I need into what we're doing here. May not use all of these sheets right now, but I'm kind of the mindset that I'd rather have them and not need them than need them and not had them. And I think all of us will go through various points in our mapping career where we over-prepare, we under-prepare. Oh no, stop, move up. You just add a sheet as you need to add a sheet, and then you add onto that sheet instead of building another sheet, and then you've got to manipulate through. That's where we all start, and then all of a sudden you'll go to where I'm at, where you build 24 extra sheets, even though you don't need them, just in case you hadn't, just in case. Just because you have it doesn't mean you don't need it, but you know what I'm saying. And then eventually we'll all get to the point where your symbols match what you need. Your sheets will match what you need. You'll build sheets as you go. So yeah, there's no good or bad, right or wrong way to do it. Um, the more organized you can be, you can force yourself to do, the more I hate to say process. Is that a good way to say it? The more consistent you can be in your mapping processes and organizing your sheet effects, your files, the faster you'll be. It's all about establishing a workflow that works for you as an individual. And I want to add another floor. Oops. And we're going to copy these off of here. And just add it to there. Floors, drays is doubled up. Path track. Water, contour, symbol, flats. Okay, this is good enough for now. If I need to add some more, we'll add another sheet or two if we need to. So we've got our road in. I typically work from background forward, if that makes sense to you. That is ugly as hell. Why did you give me funky grass? Oh, those are for, is that for, yeah, it's for the mines underground. Ew. Okay. You're seeing some different things in my SS4 folder. It's not the end of the world as you start adding custom tools, as you start adding more draw styles, as you start adding the annuals, the things. Some of your stuff will change up a little bit. Not to worry about it. Let's go with a green. Do I have a dry? Yeah, let's go with the dry 4 for now. I'm going to do a little patch like so. Initially, come up to here, go off, and let it fade over there. We'll add another patch kind of along the road over here like so. This is merely for aesthetic purposes. This is just for looking, just for appearances, man. You typically don't want all of one terrain color for your map, unless you're doing like desert or dense forest or something like that. The more things you can do to kind of break up the coloring, the more natural it looks. So yeah, we're going to go with a couple dry patches here and there, just to liven up the map a little bit. We'll throw another one off to the side here. Draw irregular shapes. Very rarely does nature draw in straight lines, so we shouldn't either unless you're drawing a structure. Okay, these are going to the outside sheet background layer, and that's perfectly fine. Just to be on the safe side, let's select them all. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We want them to go to background floor 1, and I want them on sheet outside, just to be safe, just to make certain. Hit that, and it doesn't change any effect on it. Why did I want to do that? Well, let's do. We've got the dry grass kind of out there. Let's pretend that the folks that they're in have been taking a little bit better care of their grass around their building proper. And we are going to draw that darker patch of grass mixed in with the lighter patch, the dry patch of grass, as it were. Yeah, just kind of an irregular amoeba-looking freaking single-cell organism shape. Hit boom. So when I go to cycle it through, you'll see that you have a hard line here where it doesn't fade in, whereas on the right side you can see kind of the edge fade there. Not the end of the world at all, because I have the extra sheet effects. We're simply going to make sure that this one is on background floor 1. Layers just for organization. Everything that you put on that layer you can freeze, hide, pull forward, pull backwards from layers. It's an organizing tool. Not the end of the world. The important one is sheet. So I want to move this to outside 2 because I want it to blend in. So now when we zoom back in, you can see the edge fade inner is allowing the outside 1, just as outside 1 allows the background to bleed through the edge fade inner, outside 2 allows both the background and outside 1 to bleed through. Your draw sheets will always draw in the order that they're listed. Everything on outside 1 gets drawn, then everything on outside 2 gets drawn on top of it, okay? I've said that in many videos. It kind of bears repeating, kind of a reminder. Yeah, so we like that patch of grass. Let's add another one just to kind of, what did I use? Did y'all remember? Did I use grass 4 or 5? Let's find out. 4, yep, okay. Didn't like that shape. If you're ever not sure what you were drawing with, if you move back and forth between tools a lot like I do, there's this cool thing called extract properties. There's this other thing called list, okay? If I go to extract properties, I can click on that. It's going to tell me the sheet, outside 2, the layer, floor 1, the line style, which is solid, the fill style, which is grass green 4. So if I'm looking to match the tool, I realize I need grass green 4 based on my extract property. So I'm going to go back to my draw tools and look for my grass green 4. Terrain, grass green 4 curved. And we're going to lay this sucker in a little bit here. And drop her down. And I'm going to drop another patch over here just to kind of to break up the coloring a little bit, add a little bit more of a variation to the grass. So these two new pieces, we want to make sure they end up where they're supposed to be. Outside 2, background 1, and hit OK. So yeah, we've got a little bit of grass down. We've got the basic effects for the start of our map. So next thing we want to do, I mean, there's a lot more we can do, but just for right now, we've got the basis down. I'm a big fan of the bevel stuff lately, so let's add a small rise to this berm here. So I'm going to, just as a demo, we're going to pick a random draw tool that we can find later. Why are you using Earthlight? Well, because I want to be able to pick it up pretty easily, so I need it to stand out. And I'm actually going to do the best I can to run over most of this berm. We'll leave that shoulder there. And we'll come to here and we're going to hit OK. And they're like, why the hell? That is ugly as sin. You are right, sir. That is ugly as sin. So we're going to change properties. We're going to select that. Layer, background 2, sheet. I want to go to Dune 1. I have some presets in my custom built draw tools. That should go to a hill. We'll check it here in a second. And I want to go to solid 20 bitmap fill. What this is, if you put it below stuff, you'll never see it. Put it above a texture, a bitmap, it makes it darker. It gives it a little bit of a shade. And that's actually a little bit too dark, so let's go with 10. I can always change it back later. Why am I doing this? You're going to see when I hit OK, it doesn't do a whole lot there. But if we do a redraw, activate sheet effects and apply, that's kind of not fun. Let me go to my bevel and see if I use the right hill. Oops. Getting lost in details here. Bevel lighted, edit. Bevel size is 50. It's way big. Let's go with bevel size 10. Hit apply OK. Well, it'll show up on the print, but yeah, it should give it a slight little rise, a little bit transparent on this one. If we're very curious about it, we can go back into this, and we'll just change it to a solid 30 to see if that's a little bit more prevalent. Sheet, no, I want you on Dune 1, background 2, and see if there's a change. Ever so slightly. Too small to notice. It's okay. So just to save the effects, we'll go ahead and pop that off. Never mind, I didn't want that after all. When you're doing hill stuff, the larger your map is, the larger your hills become. If it's small little rolling terrain, you won't really even notice it in SS4 with a mix of terrain, so you save yourself some effort. DD3, great. Shows your hill effects, shows your bevel effects extremely well. Forest trails, awesome. SS4, the desert maps look great, but the rest of them, it's So much of it is hand drawn that the cool little textures end up disappearing into the background. So dirt brown 5. Let's go ahead, and we've determined that we're okay with the shape of this area. So we're going to go off to our road, start kind of in, and you can then kind of sweep it up to here. Now, we going to want a courtyard. Yeah, we're going to want a courtyard. So we're going to go ahead and draw a 10-foot, 20-foot, 30-foot yard down this way. And we'll go another 20 foot down this way. 15, 20 here. And this is basically what we're going to try to make the safe unloading yard of our little stagecoach house, our little rest stop, our watering hole, if it were. You know, that bears saying, when you're doing D&D stuff or when you're doing any sort of mapping stuff, pay attention to actual history. Your average day's travel is 20 to 25 miles. If it's a big road, like the high road going from Waterdeep to Baldur's Gate or Waterdeep to Liscon or Neverwinter, it's a safe assumption that a road that's large, that is that large and heavily traveled, is going to have caravan stops and taverns and small inns and all of that every 20 to 40 miles, if not every night's rest, every other night's rest. You have a lot of we're going to drop out a map and talk actual game design for a second. When you have that much of a presence on a road, that much travel on a road that is represented in the Forgotten Realms on the high road and some other games, you're going to have profiteers. People are going to set up small little inns and rest stops and smithies and checkpoints every day's ride or 2 days ride. I think we get in the habit of, we're in D&D, the moment you leave a city, it's all wild, and you're going to have a dragon roll up on you in the middle of the night no matter where you camp. Y'all, that's bullshit. Or it should be bullshit if you're running in a living, engrossing world. I mean, if you're just having fun with your world design, then it doesn't matter. But if you want an engrossing, logical world, pay attention to things like rest stops, like caravan places, a little bitty smithy. You give your players more of an opportunity to interact with your world. You give yourself more opportunity to present potential adventure hooks, intrigue, whatever. So, but anyway, back to map. Sorry. Little inns, little warehouses, little rest stops, all those, they should be part and parcel of your campaign if your players are doing a lot of traveling. If they're not, if it's all a local, or if you're out on the borderland area or the rough stuff, disregard everything I said. In which case, you don't even need this map, but maybe you can still learn something from the draw tools. Okay, so we've got our yard drawn. The next thing I want to go ahead and do, because I'm not sure how big I want this complex yet, but let's go ahead and draw the ground floor. And we're going to keep this one floor for right now. We're going to go 30 feet this way and 20 feet this way. We'll go out to 20 here, 30 here. Let's make it decent size. Why not? No reason to make it small. Make sure your group has an area to get into a bar fight, or the traveling bards have a place to set up their stage. Make sure you have room for a kitchen. Make sure you have room for storage. If you're doing an inn, make sure you have room for rooms. I mean, you go and set up an inn, people got to be able to camp, rent a place to sleep. So that's going to help. So we've got level 1 there, which is all we're going to worry about. For fun, let's go ahead and do a, I made an owie. You know what? We're just going to go with mud, just for a different look on the dirt. The Forlorn College mud. So we've got the main building here. We've got a yard here. I'm actually going to go ahead and override this section. I'm going to go a little bit big because we'll have the walls cover up. You'll see what I'm saying here in a second. Matter of fact, I screwed that up there. But anyway, we're just drawing for fun. So we're going to come off. We're going to make it a little bit bigger than what I wanted. No, actually, we're going to go right on the lines. Let the barn walls take care of it. 20 foot, 25. Yeah, we'll do 25 by 25. Oh, let me rewind. If I'm doing the curve drawing tool and I just go to here, it's going to follow your curve. So you have to do a couple extra nodes when you're doing a curve to make sure that your corner stays in your corner and doesn't cut off where you want. There's a little bit of a pro tip, whether I think that's going to work the same for most any of your software. All right, so we've got our mud for our barn. We've got our flagstone floor for our main in-house. And let's just do a small little warehouse over here. Let's just go with a nice plain... that's way too deep. I'm not even going to stress it. We'll go with a dark gray packed dirt. Just to have a little bit of a variance. And we're going to go ahead and go with snap just to get this done a little quicker. 20-ish. 15, 20. All right, screw it. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so I'm going to actually leave this on outside. Oops. Because I want it to blend in with the background. So this is go to outside 3 because it's actually sitting on a couple different tiles right now. It can stay on floor 1, that's fine, and go. So when I hit the effects have been off so I can draw a little bit quicker. The mud kind of fades into the ground, and that's okay because it's going to be a barn. This one is a floor, so we've got the inside wall shadows. That's a floor, we got the inside wall shadows. Cool. So we've got the basic shape of our quick little roadhouse going on here. A lot of wasted space down there. That's okay. That's okay. You don't have to use every square on a map. You can always resize them later if you need to. I tend to make maps larger than they need to because I like to have give the party room to move around. So, but anyway. So we've got our basic structure. Let's add some walls because this is a fortified, I hate to use the word compound. I don't like that word. You know what? I need a new draw tool. We're going to go to wall. I like the wall cobble light, but it's not wide enough. So I'm going to go back to here. We're going to go to wall cobble light, say new, straight 2. So I know it's my next width up, hit OK. Everything is good there. We just need to go to the properties and turn it into a 1 foot thick draw. The numbers that you're using, they are in relation to the numbers of your map. Campaign Cartographer 3 reads everything in actual measurements and map units. So if you say 1, it's going to expect it to be 1 foot in relation to your 200 foot by 200 foot map. If you say 0.5, 6 inches, half of a foot, etc., etc. So yes, I want to save settings. So what did that do for me? Let me just show you. We're going to do light straight 1 so you can see what the wall does with light straight 1. And then we're going to do light straight 2, the tool that I just built. All right, so by simply adjusting one property within the draw tool, I now have a wall twice as thick. It was that easy. New draw tool, adjust a value, boom. You have a wider wall instantaneously. It's saved forevermore in that draw style. Yay for us. Yay for Campaign Cartographer. But anyway, let's go ahead and turn off our effects and actually draw the wall that I want. First thing we're going to do is delete these two because they're just sitting in the way. We're going to use wall 2, and I am actually going to go off of the inn itself. I hate how close it is to everything. Let's try something here. Let's select, 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 and select. And we're going to move all of this crap down just to give myself a little bit more room. Yay, clean snap. So yeah, that's the fun thing about Campaign Cartographer. Man, you got halfway through it and you're like, I didn't like where it was. If you just select it all and move it down a couple nodes and you're back into business without having to do a redraw, restart, or any of that kind of crap. So, and the reason I did that, like I said, I wanted a little bit of a gap between the retaining wall, the protective wall of our compound and the actual building. I didn't want someone to be able to beat down the wall of the inn and walk straight into the compound, you know. So first wall there. When you are drawing walls in Campaign Cartographer 3, do not stop on corners. It does not work very well. I do not know why. It just does not draw corners worth a poop. It draws them great. It doesn't finish corners very good. So yeah, we're keeping this pretty simple. Like I said, this is just a couple hours of a free draw session, so I don't want to go super complex. Where are we at here? We're going to activate walls. Our outer walls are good. Yay, cool. So let's go ahead and continue adding to that. I'm going to continue with the fat walls because I made it. And it's just going to look a little bit better coming off of here for the barn. Wall 1, wall 2, we'll leave it open. I'll put a door on there in a little bit. So let me close the wall so the door will snap in better. You know what? It's not going to like that. So I'm actually going to redraw all of them. The door snap function on DD3 is a little finicky. If your nodes aren't set very well, your doors will not line up the way you want. Because I added that middle section in the wall, whenever I go to naturally snap the door, it's actually going to turn perpendicular to where I wanted it. Not very much fun. Not the end of the world, but it's just something to keep in mind. So yeah, we've got the, man, that's still too much space, isn't it? You know what? We're going to add another building over here in a second. That's okay. We'll add a fourth small little guard shack or... See, everything I just... Let me show you what I'm talking about. I started on the corner there, and we're going to end on the corner just so you can see what I was referring to in regards to bad cornering. So, one corner good, one corner good, one corner good. The corner I started and ended on is broken. That's just kind of, I think, just I don't want to say a bug, just the way the polygons work when they overlap, it ends up in that gap. It's easy to, it's easy to fix. You just draw over it again, if I'm being honest. It's easier to get into best practices and not start and end on a corner. That way you just don't have to go back and fix things over and over again. Now, I am going to draw back once and say, okay, let's say that our guy did. You're a new artist. You're just working with Campaign Cartographer 3 the first time. You've gone through your whole map. You've done all kinds of great shit. And then you realize that, oh man, I started every one of my little squares on a corner and they're all broken. It's not hard to fix. Put your snaps on very close to the node. 1, 2, 3. Overdraws, fixes your corner. Not the end of the world. Now, if I have to go put a window or a door or anything near those nodes, it's gonna bug out. So that's why you don't want to use that as a rule. Select that, deselect that because I didn't want everything. Delete that out of the way. Okay, I'm gonna put something else. You know what? I'm gonna put some outhouses in that back corner there. A couple outhouses. There we go. Use this yard stuff a little bit more. So this is a pretty good size. This is a lot bigger than I expected, than I was planning, but that's okay. That's you know, it's not a bad thing to make something a little bit different than what you had in your mind's eye. Sometimes that goes back to the whole, should you do a rough draft before you start or not? Man, I'm not going to tell you should or should not. Whichever method helps you the best, whichever method you feel most comfortable and confident in when you sit down to draw your map is what you should do. Oh, see. Now we had that little flaw there because I did When you overdraw, when you overlap, you'll end up with that stupid little gap. And because I'm an OCD person, I'm not happy with just doing that because I'm going to know when I zoom in that there's that tiny little flaw in that wall. But this is free draw. We're not gonna stress about it to the point where I'm gonna redraw the whole outer wall. We've got outer wall done. We've got protective wall. We've got a warehouse. We've got a barn. We've got the primary keep. Let's throw some wooden floors in for some privies, and maybe another storage shed or two, and then we'll start filling in with some fun details. You know what? This is a one-story building. So, you know what? I'm going to put the rooms We'll use a little bit more of this space up by actually putting additional spacing around it. So again, remember, we're keeping this drawing to a one-story building. So for the simplicity's sake, we'll go 10 foot, 10 by 15, 10 by 15. We'll put 2 rooms on the outside here, and we'll put 2 rooms on the outside here. And I'll put another kind of a bunkhouse type of a thing over here, a common sleeping area, as it were. 25 by 15. We'll go to 30 by 15. If you ain't got no money for a private room, you can go stay over in the barracks dormitory by the barn. And we're going to go ahead and drop a little bit of a, yeah, we'll go with mud. Just to, I know it's ooky, but, you know. Do you use restrooms? Do you not? Man, that's up to each individual. Some maps I do, some maps I don't. I can't remember the last time an adventuring party went to the restroom as part of their RP. But a world's going to have them. So that's up to you, man. That's up to each person. How do you want to deal with that? But for now, mainly so I can fill in this extra section of dirt over here. All right, so we're going to add one more section of bricked floor over here that is kind of serving as, do you say guard post? We're going to put over here. That's kind of the checkpoint when you come rolling on into Bob's Roadhouse. You're going to have to check in with Chuck, the doorman at Bob's Roadhouse, before he lets you in. I'm going to go and go in. Okay, so this is starting to look a little bit better. We're going to go some small walls here. Oh, click too quick. Hit your nodes. Small wall, thinner wall here, because it's just the... we've been at it for about 30 minutes. You've been listening to me run my mouth more as much as I've been drawing. What do we have here? Some decent looking terrain. We've got some brown, some green, some grasses, some dirt. We've got the outer courtyard. We've got an inside muddy area for our barn. We've got the primary building with a couple secondary rooms around it. So let's go ahead and finish those short little walls right quick. Come into here, down to there. Do another internal wall here to here. And same thing up to here, down to here, down to here, internal wall to here. So your question now becomes, my question becomes, obviously, it's going to be simple. They've got 4 bedrooms and then a barracks facility for sleeping. 2, 4, 6, 8. And then you've also got to get quarters for the people that live there. So... yeah, suddenly your inn can become a lot bigger than you expected it to be when you start accounting for where do people sleep, i.e. the party, where does the staff sleep, is there anywhere for them to cook, where are they holding all of their goodies. So in those, I find that I have to add another small exterior section just to settle my mind up on that. Okay, I don't like that wall there. But guess what's going to happen? Because that's a single unified wall, if I go to delete it, I'll delete the entire outer wall. So what can we do with that? There's this cool thing called break. So if I draw here, and then it's going to start at that point, and it's going to end at whatever point. Oh, no. Undo that. Freeze your floor. That's on me. Let's go to Game Master only. So I'm maneuvering. We're going to freeze, and hit apply. So now when I go to break, I'm going to select an edge to break a gap in. It's going to ask me my first point to start and the point to stop. And hit, oh, it didn't do it. Break at start point. Break ends at point. And hit D for do it. Come on, why are you not working? Break. select an edge. So let's start here and let's end here and hit. It's not working for me, piece of crap. I can insert node, I can break shape. That might be break for breaking a polygon and not a wall. So let's do a delete node. Oh no, I don't want to delete that node. Undo. I'm going to do it the simplest way that I know how, as just a dude. One good thing about the SS4 system is there's all kinds of cool tools built into your doors. So if I simply go here and grab the double wooden door, it's not going to work because I doubled that wall up, remember? Remember me crying about that? Yeah, you remember. So we're just going to, son of a bitch, yeah, it's not going to work because I had to double those walls. That's why it's not breaking. That one broke, the other one hid. We're just going to go ahead and do that for simplicity's sake because I'm sick of wrestling with it. So we turn that into a little bit of storeroom kitchen type of a thing. Let's drop our barn doors on. Stone doors are too big. We'll double wooden. I prefer setting the doors at 0.8. Full size in SS4 are a little big. 0.8 gives you a little bit more space to play with. Seem a little bit more natural. We're going to add a couple doors to our, what was I calling that? To our dormitory. Double door onto the warehouse. A string of single doors. Are you at 0.8? Yes. Turn off snap when you're doing smalls because it will not line up where you want it if you leave snaps. Last one is her, and we're going to go ahead and turn snap back on this one just so I can line it in the same spot. And I want to put a window here so he can say, welcome to our, why did you turn off, fucker? That's right, that's where I was. So you're seeing as I have difficulty with these doors, when I was playing with the wall node showing you how to and not to make walls, when you end up covering up, it breaks the snap tool on your door. It breaks the cut tool. There is a macro built into setting down this door that will cut this. What I was trying to do with this with the break tool, actually break a section of the wall naturally based on where you set the door down. If there's any extra walls there, the macro breaks down. So just kind of keep that in mind. We're gonna go with double doors entering into our tavern. Yeah, we're gonna go right off the center point there. We're going to do a small internal wall, interior wall, excuse me. Where's my cobble light? And I'm actually going to do this to kind of no, that's too close. We'll go to here. That way there's quote unquote a little bit of privacy for your rooms. When I draw especially an inn or a dungeon, or not a dungeon, I don't care what people think. But when I'm drawing an inn, I try to think that it's got to be useful for people. The people that are staying there are going to want to be comfortable there, have some privacy, have some space. There should be somewhere for a fire. You should have your bar. Think it through and make it into something that, you know, your character, if you're a character, you'd be okay with staying here. Or make it really nasty. If you're a character, man, it sucks that you actually have to pay coins to be here. But yeah, you can use the appearance of your buildings and the layout of your buildings to really imply economic conditions, or just to influence how your characters are feeling about certain things. So we've got our rental rooms. I'm going to turn this section over here into the private area. Private area being where the owners, where the proprietors actually have a place to stay. Them and their staff will give the big boss, the big room. We're going to turn this into 3 different rooms. Sure, why not? And you know what? Sometimes when you build with different styles, it matches up with your medieval your medieval styling. Maybe they threw these wooden floors on as an after effect. They've expanded their building and they put the rooms on the outside. So the original rooms on the inside become staff rooms. The rooms that have been added to the outside house the guests. Or maybe these are 3 more guest rooms. Whatever you need, man. So yeah, that's the other thing. When you're drawing your maps out, make sure that you're giving yourself enough latitude and flexibility to adapt any map to adapt a map to multiple situations. So I am a stickler for actual. I'm not an architect, but I do kind of believe that things should make sense. If you've got a gigantic 1-story building, you need to make sure that you've got supports set up for that building. Pillars and columns scattered through the interior of the structure. Now, because we didn't go with a great unified mathematically correct shape, sometimes your columns, you're going to have to make them make sense yourself. This is where sometimes I'll bog down because I'm a little bit OCD. I like stuff to line up and make sense. It's got to make sense for me to be okay with it. So let's kick on and see if those columns look like they have enough support. Remember, your interior walls also offer support. So if you've got interior walls, it's keeping the ceiling up over in this area here. These interior walls are keeping the ceiling up in this area. There's not a damn thing in the middle, so that's why we're going to add some columns. Number 2, it also adds a little bit of a visual break to the map. It gives you a little bit more. So let's see, where are we at here? Got the road drawn, got the main building drawn, secondary buildings are drawn. We'll do forestry in a second. Let's go ahead and continue with our buildings here. So I'm going to go to the furniture, SS4 color furniture. Now the cool thing about this set SS4 is it's keyed to import colors, so you're not stuck with just the colors on the default. The defaults, excuse me. Certain ones can actually certain models can change. I like the Schley, but I also dislike it because it's such a unique look. You cannot mix symbol styles. If you're using SS4, you're going to be stuck using SS4 for everything, because if you use any third-party assets, if you use anything other than SS4, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb. It's going to make a really good map look really bad. So for all the love to SS4, you're limited to using those symbols if you want a nice consistent presentation in your map and in your art. I forgot to put the back door on there. Okay. But yeah, back to, sorry, I got all talking about this, that, and the other. Let's finish my, So, bars. There is not a single table or bar or anything of the sort listed in the SS4, which means you get to get creative. Now, you can do one of 2 things, because there's nothing here, and your closest approximation will be to take a couple tables, and honestly, you want to use snap on this, even though it's going to suck, so you can overlap them, but then you get that ugly line in the middle. It becomes very obvious what you've done. It works. It's not the end of the world. It's okay. You don't have a whole lot of other choices in SS4. You could go ahead and maybe take your banquet table that's pre-built with stuff on it. No, that doesn't work either. You can go with a pew. Let's see what happens if we go with a church pew. It looks pretty obvious as a bench. But if we play with it a little bit, and maybe if we overlap the second piece on top of it, it becomes a little bit more intact of a bar-looking thing. That's one little visual trick you can play with. If you go down and find the actual bench. Oops, that was a pew. Where's my bench? Do they not have a bench on this one anymore? Bench, yes. So you can kind of do the same thing with your bench if you flip your symbol imposed on top of another. Now, it doesn't look as good with the bench. Okay, so you got two options there. You just go with a... We've looked at three options, and we'll just put them all together here. And you can help me decide. Well, not really, because no one's on Twitch listening to me right now. But if you're on Twitch right now, you could give me your feedback, but you're not, so yeah. So we'll snap a couple tables together, which gives you okay. We stack a couple pews on each other, which gives you okay. That makes a better shelf than it does a bar. Not happy with any of that. So what's the third thing we can do? Well, you know what? We can go into our floor draw tools. We can find a nice set of wood. Let's go with maple. Make sure your snaps are on. We're on 5x5s. Yep. And then we're actually going to draw the shape ourselves with a wooden draw tool. Ah, that turned out bad because I broke my corner. Let's fill that in. Okay, so that just looks like something on the floor. By golly, you're right. But if we do this one quick little thing, select change properties. Change properties. Oh, duh. All my shit was frozen from earlier. Ha ha ha. Because the draw tool is floor. It assigned it to the floor sheet out. So when I froze that floor layer. So when I froze all of that, it became inaccessible. That's on me. So we're going to go to here. We're going to go back to change properties. We're going to select this, and we're actually going to take this entity and take it to symbols. And it goes from being an entity to now a drawn symbol. And we're going to make sure it's on layer furniture. We're going to hit OK. What happens? It now pops. It's got a shadow. It's sitting up on its own. I don't like that. I don't like that grain though, man. So let's try a different one. Let's go with a wood oak straight. They've already got oak sitting back there. So maybe this oak will look just as well. Just so you know, this is two objects. You just have to select around, but you can move it around like any other piece right now. So because we're playing with it, we're going to go with an oak bar. I like oak. Jimmy, do you like oak? Your Uncle Marcellus likes oak. Sorry. Just finished watching Pulp Fiction not too long ago. So yeah, we're going to be kind of stuck with just 2 or 3 boards. So let's go ahead and go with the initial look. I like it. It's got a little bit more of a worn, rustic, dirty look to it. So that's what we're going to go. So we couldn't find what we wanted in this selection of furniture. Ooh, yuck. That's what happens when you unlock everything. And hit OK. And we're going to move you up to here. Let the wall almost look like it was built in a little bit more. Yeah, okay. I like that. I like that. And I want the bar to extend a little bit around the right to where these 2 tables were. So we're going to go back into our floor drawing tool and take maple vertical and just add a small little 5-foot section here. And then we're going to go to here and also assign it to symbols, furniture, voila. Okay. We couldn't get happy with what they gave us for a bar, so we went ahead and made our own bar, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Sometimes it's as simple as taking a floor tool and drawing your shape and turning it into an entity. Now, because we went through the effort of doing it earlier, I want to go ahead and use our improvised, where'd it go? Damn. Our improvised temple pew for a shelf. We're going to put you at 1 at normal. Set normal. Get you a little bit bigger. I'm going to set you there. I'm going to rotate you over on top of it. Set you there. The 2 pieces are there. We're going to go ahead and rotate it back around now. See what it looks like as a double piece. It looks about the same as a single, doesn't it? Once it's all said and done. You get your little corner post there is the only thing that I like about it that makes it look like a little bit more of a shelf. So for now, we're going to go with that. I don't like the shadow on it. It's a little too deep. This custom art set, the custom sheet effects I actually have symbols low to eliminate a lot of the shadow on some of your other stuff, make it a little less overbearing. Barrels. because who doesn't like beer barrels, right? We're going to do a couple pony kegs. Let's be consistent and say 1.2 size with our small barrel. And we're going to line up 1, 2, 3, 4. And where are they going to draw? They're going to draw in as symbols, and that's okay. Give you a little bit of shadow there. So, okay, yeah. We've got our bar. We've got our beer. I don't like the fact that I don't have a storeroom yet, so I might have to add an extra storeroom section. You know what? We actually do have a storeroom. We're just going to simply borrow the section of the privacy section and turn it into a storeroom. And we'll drop a door on it, a happy little door. And that way, oh, come on, Jim. That way the storeroom is somewhat accessible without having to. Now, if I was drawing this for real, I would honestly probably draw a second floor and a cellar. I don't want to go through that trouble right now. Maybe the next time we're doing a free mapping, we'll go ahead and do that. So we know where our bar is. We know where our bedrooms are. We've got storage. We've got a kitchen. Let's throw a couple windows on here just to help with airflow. And, you know, windows weren't just for decorations back in the day. They were, you know, fresh air, man. Let smoke out, let air in, let smoke out, do all of that. Oh, we still have to add a fireplace, don't we? So windows across from each other to allow for some airflow. I'm not going to put small windows on the rooms because people just be climbing in and out of the room. That does the whole privacy thing away. So where would a good place for a fireplace be that will keep most of this building warm? I'm thinking right here in the corner. The fireplace lit. Let's see how you look in the corner. Set normal. You okay?
Yeah.
How was your workout?
Good.
Saying hi to my wife as she's
You
cruising
okay?
by. Yep, just streaming / mapping. You about to leave?
What you streaming?
Mapping.
Oh, you're mapping.
Yeah, doing a mapping, free mapping tutorial / BS, whatever you want to call it. I don't like that fireplace. We're going to get rid of that fireplace. We're going to go with a different fireplace from the furniture section. Lit. Corner piece. Is that full size? That's way too big. Set more normal. You know what? It's just for simplicity's sake, so I don't end up doing a bunch of wall masks. We'll go ahead and drop him right there. While we're here, we'll go over into the kitchen. See, what's funny is you have that tiny little fireplace and you got these gigantic ass stoves, man. Damn, this stove is 5 foot by 5 foot. No. Shrink that son of a bitch down. Man, most of your stuff does a really good job of scaling, but some of the stuff just, you got to adjust a little bit. So I would always keep in mind the size of a square and the size of a person when you are looking at your objects, when you're trying to scale stuff around. We're going to throw one more fireplace here for baking, and you know what? We'll throw another one over here just to help keep the building warm. All right, so we've got a couple fireplaces. We've got stoves. We got the bar. Let's throw some beds in while we're sitting on this. Hell, we got it open. We may as well get busy, right? Okay, what is our bed going to default to? Set to normal. Your bed is about 8 foot long. May as well. That's fine. I'm going to set these up as twin rooms. This is not the frickin' Four Seasons. This shit's more like Motel 6. They're leaving the light on for you as you make your way to Lascon. Doesn't mean the rooms are going to be huge. Rooms are going to be, at best, clean and warm. At worst, wet and dirty. Let's go ahead and, because I like to do it, change some of the colors on, just for the variety. Do you have to do it? No. Does it make a difference? I don't know. I've never had a single person say, "Oh, I love how colorful your maps are. I love that there's a variety between the beds." It's more for you as a builder, man. Some of the stuff that you do, your people may notice. Some of the stuff you do, your people probably won't notice. Doesn't matter. If you're having fun doing it, if it makes sense in your head, then do it. If you don't care about shadows, if your people don't care about shadows, if you're not trying to publish this map, do the bare minimum to make it work for what you want. If you're OCD, man, there's plenty of stuff to go in there and fill in all the little details on what you on what you need to make it all work. So we're going to go ahead and drop a couple more small pieces of furniture. If you had noticed, I am dropping these shadows to low, symbols low or symbols flat. Just paying attention to stuff. I'm going to show you something real quick. When you're playing with Campaign Cartographer 3, you have your see if number. You really can't tell because there's not a lot of shadows on. I'll get that in a second. Once we get finished, we can play with the sun and adjust where the sun is and show you how to adjust all of this, that, and the other. Why do I have a video capture device? That's so dumb. I don't know what the hell's going on. I guess it doesn't really matter. We're working, aren't we? Yay. Okay. So we've got our map down. We've got our buildings down. We've got the start to the furnishing of it. I don't know that I'm going to go through every single inch of it. It just becomes kind of rinse and repeat for yourselves, but just for simplicity's sake, the SS4 system has some pre-made tables. If you want to drop a couple tables in, I do get kind of OCD about making sure that I line up the chairs with the squares. A token in your RPG is in Dungeons and Dragons is going to take up a 5-foot square. For tokens sitting at the table, I want them sitting in a square. That's just me. Don't have to do it that way if you don't want to. You find that if you do set your maps up like that, you actually lose a lot of space. You're giving yourself, but you're accounting for play space, so that's kind of up to you. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and drop in a few tables, put a small couple stools over here by the bar, kind of rotate them so it doesn't look like you just did a quick nasty drop. Although my tables belie that. Do we have a side table, end table, little bitty side table? Nope, we're going to make one. We're going to put a little table here next to the fire. And another little table over here next to this fire. Rotate the grain so it looks like we're doing stuff. You know what, let's go with a comfy chair. A couple comfy chairs over there. We'll go with this comfy chair. And go with maroon comfy chair. And actually, I'm going to move this table a wee bit. So there's some space for folks there. Again, like I said, your mileage may vary. You can make these ends as packed or as spacious as you want. Just keep in mind that if there is the chance for a combat encounter to break loose, you need to make sure that your party and you... Oops. Where'd my thing go? Did I mess that up? Okay. Make sure that the party and... Why is that not dropping? Are we getting bugs here? Let me do a save just to be safe. I want to copy this piece and drop it here, but it's not dropping. Why is it not dropping? Huh, this is weird. Okay, so that moved, and that moved, but why are you not copying? Copy drop. Interesting, my copy command is broken all of a sudden. Let me see if I did something wrong with it. Copy in drawing. Is it okay? Now I'm intrigued. Is it just with that object? this is interesting. You know what? Just for a second, let's go ahead and reload because it is not behaving the way it's supposed to be doing. And I didn't do any sort of symbol change. It's just when I started moving the tables around, it decided to act funky. So it doesn't ever hurt to go ahead and save your stuff and then restart it on occasion. So that's what we're going to do right quick and proper here. I'm going to go back in, open her back up, and as long as you saved right, it should go right back to where you left it. Oops. So hopefully it's going to behave as I go to copy and place. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so sometimes it just gets in a little bit of a funky thing. I do notice if you're moving quickly and you're holding keys down as you do it, it tends to be unhappy. Hell, I've crashed it because I use the escape key to drop off of my selection really quick. And sometimes I've tapped escape so quickly that I've freaking closed the damn software out on myself. So dirty, quick and dirty on the bar. Restaurant, whatever. We went from having 4 tables to now we have 2, 4, 6, 9 tables. So you went from seating 16 people to seating 40 people. It's all in how much space you want to take up in your particular establishment. How much space you have to play with is dependent on what you intend for this. If it's just a hangout, doesn't matter. If there's a chance for combat, make sure you leave yourself some space. Make sure you leave your party room to maneuver. Make sure you leave yourself space for your bad guys, good guys, whatever guys to maneuver around. Yeah, so pay attention to all of that. We're going to drop a couple barrels. There is a little bit of a trick that I will use on these, and I did it wrong. So, just so you, I got to get this table out of here. It's bugging the shit out of me. The table wouldn't be in front of the door. We're gonna hit our sheet effects right quick. So all of a sudden, all of these shadows are super deep in the storeroom. Okay, these are little bitty objects. They shouldn't have any shadow without any light. You can go to symbols flat if you want to completely get rid of the shadows. If you want there to be a little bit just to do what it needs to do, I get it. Go to your bottom barrels, put them on symbols low. That way you can see the difference on your top barrel actually giving a shadow effect to the bottom ones. If they all have shadows, then the shadows kind of bleed into each other. You can't tell where one starts, where one stops. So when you're stacking things, make sure that the bottom entities, the bottom symbols, either put the shadow on flat or low so you can actually see the pronunciation of the upper shadow. Otherwise, it just looks like a stack of blurry items and it's not as good. So because I'm lazy as hell, and we're getting at an hour into the feed here. Actually, I was going to draw for a little while, so we're not in a huge hurry. I apologize. My tutorials tend to be at an hour. My free draw goes a little bit longer. So, but because I don't want to spend all my time doing just one thing, I am going to use copy commands to simply take these 2 rooms. I need to freeze my floors again, my background, sorry. So I don't keep selecting them. So yeah, I'm just a super lazy mode here, and I'm going to copy these things in this bedroom, or that bedroom, and rotate them around and make them work in this room. They don't work perfectly because of where the door is, but you know what? All I've got to do then is just grab my move command, slide these 2 entities to here, tiny little adjustment on that, and I'm done. So our in rooms are done. But you notice that those stupid chests have a lot more shadow than the bed because I wasn't paying attention. I left them on. They defaulted to symbols. I'm going to go symbols flat. I don't even want them having a shadow in here at all. All right. Okay, that's fine. We're not going to worry about that. So if I wanted to, or what I would continue doing is fill out these last 3 bedrooms, make those staff rooms, make them rental rooms, whatever. A few more boxes and a table in the kitchen, and your in part of your roadhouse is done. So let's go over here to the Mr. Barn area. We're going to go to debris, Durbis, and we're just going to throw a couple, first thing we need to actually do is add a couple stalls in here. So we'll find a wooden wall, wooden walnut, sure, why not? Go snap. We're going to go stall here, and a couple stalls here and here and here. Alrighty. So you've got places for your horses or cows or oxen or whatever. We're going to drop in a hay here and a hay here. And we're going to go ahead and put a big old thing of firewood along the outside of this building while we're on the symbols thing. And go there. Don't need the shadows on the hay. You'll spend a lot of time tweaking your symbol layers. Every symbol in SS4 defaults to symbol. Whether it's a 2-inch tall flower or a 20-foot tall tree, it's going to try to get a shadow on it. That's one of my, I don't want to say peeves. That's one of the probably the biggest weak point in it is with this symbol styles. You got to do a lot of adjustment on shadows and on your symbol layers themselves to make stuff look a little bit more natural. I mean, you go from having, for example, here, all of them, we got damn shadow from 3 bales of hay that's as tall as the wall, and you know that's not. I know you're being very. Here, I don't like that. Let's delete it. It's not going to take us long to do it. Once again, so we're going to go to the hay bundles. We're going to set a couple on the bottom, rotate them around just to have them look a little bit more organic. Got those ones down. Taking these to symbols flat. Take the next bunch on top. And we're going to take these 3 that I just added. If I can find them. It'll be a little harder. This is where zoom in helps. And you know what? I don't need to because the symbols flat took care of that. That last one right there, I don't like it. Oops. I don't like that corner one, so we're going to take him and turn him to symbol flat as well. These last. That way, I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but at least you don't have as much of a shadow effect coming off of all this crap. All right, so yeah, our barn is basically done, man. And honestly, you could go into your weapon thing here, siege colored weapons. You've got a wheelbarrow. You can add a wheelbarrow to the outside. Take a rake, throw your rake up against the wall here. You know, you got your broom and all that for mucking the stables. So you've got some stuff you can drop in.
Is it gonna bother you if I use the blender real quick?
Guys, I'm going to take a couple minute pause here at my hour break. So I want you to enjoy my pause screen as I'm going to, I'm going to take a pause for a second. Got to take care of a couple household things, and we will be back on this stream. If you are watching the recording, this is being paused shortly, and we will return. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Apologies for that delay. Hell, shit happens. So, back to our free drawing session here, using Campaign Cartographer 3. Like I said, I just kind of wanted to set out drawing a roadhouse, a coach house, a rest stop, multiple different names for it. Just a small establishment sitting to the side of one of the main roads, traveling between 2 large cities that your adventuring party can stay at over the night. A caravan stop, you know, all different kinds of things. Just something basic to play around with and draw a little bit. We're using SS4, keeping it very plain, keeping it very default as much as possible. Trying not to use a bunch of custom tricks or custom tools or anything like that at this point. Just drawing for drawing. So, honestly, the structure at this point is done. There's a lot of detail that can go in. There's 3 little rooms to fill in with bedrooms. It's just as simple as copy paste. Maybe you want to put a double bed in, 2 of those to represent the family. You can add a little bit more into the storage warehouse if you wanted to. Around the outside perimeter here, this is where I would start getting into the aesthetics. I would use your little, you know, just for fun. We'll go ahead and do that real quick. The symbol set is a little bit limited, but if you get creative, you can actually have some fun and give yourself, for example, let's do a flower box real quick. Where my trough? I think my trough is here. No, is it gonna be? Let's look for. I doubt it's in caves. But we'll take a look-see right quick. Probably in furniture, where it tends to be. No, really? How rude, how wooed, how wooed. Okay, here's a trough. Cool. What are we going to do with the trough? Well, we're going to get creative for a couple minutes and get some decorations here. So you got your trough. We're going to set this sucker on symbol flat to make sure that it's underneath. And we're going to go over here to vegetation. As we talked about earlier, a lot of the art will change colors based on what you assign it to. So we're going to use that basic premise. And first, this is on symbol flat. I want all of these little greenery things. You notice as I click around, they rotate themselves, which is nice and convenient. They do a little bit of randomization. All right, so all of these I need to move to symbol flat as well. They will all have shadows if I don't, and it's all going to be a moot point. Because not only do I want those sitting there, I want to change a couple of these, and we're going to fill in a couple of the gaps just to give a little bit of fluff, a little bit of a difference in appearance. And again, same thing. Go through, select them all, symbol flat. Okay, so now it's color time. We're going to take this big ugly weed and we're going to go red. And that big ugly weed is now going to become a nice red flower. And let's go purple. And we'll rotate him and he'll become a purple flower. And then we're going to go ahead and go blue. And we'll drop a blue flower in as well. Okay. So just using the set in front of us, there is 0 given in any of this artwork. In any of these default settings, there's no flowers. None. You don't have pretties. You don't have any of that. Cool shrubs, cool bushes, lots of trees. I mean, you even get trellises if you want. You know, I mean, so no, yeah. I'm not trying to be negative on it. They give you a lot of tools, but a lot of stuff is kind of left to us to be creative and make work. You know, so for example, if we want to go with trellises, let's go snap just to make sure. No, you don't want. Yeah, we'll line it up. Okay. Let's just snap them along, snap them along, snap them along. So, you know, we add a little bit of color to the building. Here's where it gets funny with the inconsistent symbols. There's no shadows given to the wall, but there's shadows given to the trellises that hug the wall. Yeah, I don't like that either. So we're going to, again, simply go through, select them, go to your symbol flat. That's going to keep a small outline of it and eliminate any shadow. Of course, it eliminates it from being visible as well, so keep that in mind. That quick setting suddenly turns it into just decor. Now that we've finished our little... Nope, we want that on flat so it'll stay below. Sorry, I was just trying something real quick. Okay. Bah. Let me rewind 2 settings. I had it looking where I wanted it. What basically happened was when I went and reordered it, see if I give a little more shadow to that box without messing it up, I actually moved it up in the draw order because of me affecting it over all the little greenery in there. I didn't want to do that, so I just pushed undo twice to get it set back to where it was. So if you wanted to, after you made that cute little flower box, and maybe these people are really proud of their flower boxes, or maybe they just like having some color in their lives, you can just take that, copy it right as it is, and plop it around your map, just to kind of break up the outline, if you will, add some color, add some pop. Okay. So at this point, we're really... From here forward, it's all about aesthetics, man. It's all about making the map look how you want, making the map feel what you want, feel like what you want it to feel like. You know, you can take your bushes, oops, set normal. Maybe they have some shrubs growing around on the inside. Maybe their landscape crew sucks, kind of like me at home, and just shit goes nuts. So you have some bushes in the corners. Maybe you want some shrubs underneath the windows. That's an option for that. So once you get the centerpiece of your map, whether that was a temple, whether it was a hill, whether it was a stagecoach house, whether it was whatever the center point of your map is, you've gotten it done. Everything else should focus on two things. Number one is aesthetics. How does it look? Well, actually, this is a battle map. Let me rephrase that. Number one is, what is your intent? If this map is supposed to be an assault style map, do you need to put more things around the outside of it to provide cover? The bad guys hiding in the bushes waiting to ambush the people in the roadhouse. In which case, then, not only do you need to worry about cover, you need to worry about distance on your cover. So let's go ahead and we're going to do that on the northern section for now. We're just going to pretend that the northern part of the map is, we're preparing it to ambush some people. We're preparing it to attack. This little outpost is about to get raided. So first thing you can do is go with your trees. Well, opinions vary. I prefer to go trees and bushes. The bushes will sit underneath the trees. Other people prefer to go bushes and trees. No matter what you do, this is where a very important thing to keep in mind for Campaign Cartographer. Always build from north to south. If you're going from northwest to southeast, southeast to north, or northeast to southwest, always build north to south on your map, because that makes sure that when you're laying down your textures, when you're laying down your bushes, trees and all that, the overlap works the way it needs to work for you. What do I mean by that? Okay, so let's say I put that tree there and I put the next tree above it. Oop, let me find another tree. Where'd my trees go? Damn, I'm so dumb. I went for a large bush instead of a tree. That's my biggest issue. All right, tree A. So if I go from north to south and I set my trees, they kind of blend together. If I go from south to north, they don't, for whatever reason, they don't seem to stack as well. They don't look as natural. I don't know why. I really don't. And if you hit activate sheet effects, when you go north to south, trees ain't the end of the world. You have a little bit of leeway in here. But yeah, it's just pay attention to how you're layering your symbols, because sometimes you can end up with an overlap that you didn't want. So these trees, they got these big old huge shadows, all kinds of nice stuff on them. As long as you overlay them, the outline doesn't appear behind, makes them appear like clusters of trees. So if this was a defensible situation, I wouldn't have these trees that close to the building. You want to make sure that if they're trying to defend their home, they've got a few feet between any points of cover and points of contact. Otherwise, the ninja bastard climb right up the tree, hop over the wall, jump it, kill everybody. So we're preparing this with the intent that this is a coming to the inn and hiding out and protecting people. So our initial bushes, I'm just dropping them down using the tab key to go through the randomization of them. Most of the bushes you're not going to see because they're going to be sitting under trees. Trees will override them. Go into them nice and nice. SS4's got some really cool little draw tools to give you shrub lines and stuff like that as well. Maybe they didn't do a good job of their landscape in the back, so we're going to go with the shrub right up against the wall, and another one on the corner there. And again, remember, you can change your colors a little bit. There is a little bit of flexibility in your symbol selection based on colors. Doesn't hurt to vary them a little bit once in a while. Just try to be consistent. Don't make 15 different colors and not a single repeat of them. Nature being nature, there are some unique colors, but yeah, always just build with an eye on a natural feel of things when you can. if you want. You know, if you're doing an Alice in Wonderland or an Underdark thing and you got all kinds of colorful magic mushrooms and caves and all that, you know, that kind of precludes it and makes it a little different. So, adding along the north side, all we did was added a handful of bushes, a handful of trees, and made the area really pop out around it. Kind of made the edges of the map feel alive, feel populated. If there's things that need to be hiding in the woods, they now have space to hide in it. If it's just a natural, if it's just a non-player character-centric, dialogue-centric encounter location, then this is just merely for aesthetic purposes. Make your decisions. Make your design decisions based on first functionality, second aesthetics. You should never be so worried about how good it looks that the map is not playable. If you focus on appearance for the lack of playability, you're going to end up with a big map that's really pretty that has 15 of the possible 1,000 squares on it that you can use. Pay attention to your grid. Pay attention to distance. If this is supposed to be an attack map, do I have enough space on the outside perimeter of this operation to support that? Or is the edge of my map at 10 feet and there's no room on the outside perimeter for that to happen? So, I mean, these are little things that you want to pay attention to as you get into drawing maps. Obviously, clicking around, picking something up, dropping it down, getting on with your day, it's not hard, and drawing maps is a lot of fun. Drawing maps that make sense is where it starts becoming a challenge. Drawing maps that make sense to other people, i.e., anyone can pick up one of my maps. That's my goal. Is that you can go to my Etsy page, you can find any one of my maps, you can look at it and you go, okay, that's cool, that's pretty. I can do this, this, and this with that map. I don't ever want someone going, well, that map works perfectly if I have this monster and this setting at this time of the year with this kind of a scenario. You're not trying to, if you're a map maker, you got to avoid those very specific, very explicit designs. If a dungeon master can't look at it and find 4 different ways to use it, they're not going to want it. And even if it's attractive. Or they'll do it, they'll make the mistake, they'll buy it one time, and then they go, you know what? No, those are some cool looking maps, but damn, they're a lot of work to make do. The guy, it's like he pre-stocked the map for me. So just little advice to keep in mind. So let's kick on some effects and see what this looks like right now. Not too shabby at all for quick demo work. Would I call this done? Hell no. I'd probably add another half an hour to hour of detailing to the add more fauna to it. Probably add a little more color, some more ground texture, some more bitmaps to give it a little bit more contrast in the dirt versus the green. But as far as functionality goes, this map is ready to roll right now. You have your inn, you have a barn, you have a secondary barracks area. I hate to say barracks, what's a better way? Dormitory, there you go. A couple extra rooms, you got your bar, you've got your storage, you've got your main road, you've got your surrounding area. This map is ready to go for its design. Now, the design of this map when we first sat down was to design a generic inn, generic roadhouse, generic stagecoach house on the side of a major road for the party to stay at and possibly encounter NPCs at. We've hit that. We've checked those marks. We've added a little bit of an extra defensive perimeter with the wall around it to make it a possible when the mist comes in and the night howls and the third Monday of every month the evil creatures issue forth from the nearby creek and attack our inn. Well, you have that built into this as well. So, be creative in your designs, in your brain, and when you get down to set up a map, try to make it match what you're seeing in your mind, but also make sure you have some versatility in it. Now, you're going to design set piece maps. You're going to design stuff that this is just for this thing, and that's okay. But the more you can find generic uses for your maps, or I hate to say generic, general design, you're going to give yourself some flexibility for multiple uses. This map, if I twist it around and orient it east to west, hey, guess what? It's a different location. It's not a big deal. So, yeah. But we're sitting at almost 2 hours here. And that's kind of all I was planning on streaming for, was just doing a live chit chat and map stream and a demo for the draw. If you're interested in this map, I am going to go ahead and finish it out, change a couple little things up on it, and probably put it over on my Etsy. So if you've been following along, you like the way it looks, you'd love to have this map, it'll be on sale for Etsy. It'll also be available for my followers or for my patrons on Patreon. So, yeah, I invite you to go take a look at my Patreon, go take a look at the Etsy to see what this looks like in a couple of days when I'm fully finished with it, when I've gone back through, added some extra ground effects to it, added some extra ground cover, some more color, some things like that. You can finish out a functional map in a short period of time with Campaign Cartographer, and at the same time you can spend an eternity drawing stuff into it and making it more. Here, I'm going to go ahead and one of my most recent creations. You may have seen it on Facebook or one of my other sites, but yes, we're going to save you. Beach Ruins. Such a fun map to draw. Such an interesting style to play with. This is probably one of the best demos you're going to have on what sheet effects do. When you're sitting here looking at this map, it is without effects. You're like, what the hell is that? And more importantly, how does that become freaking that with just the application of some sheet effects? Transparency, color keys, fade effects, all of that adds up to just get wow on your maps. So, you can start out with a very basic design and just keep going and keep going and keep going. Campaign Cartographer is so much fun to play with. The symbol sets, the drawing styles that come with the annuals just dramatically expand the amount of the breadth and width of what you can draw, man. And literally after a little while, it's just, what is the limit of your imagination? And that at the same time, you don't have to have all of these things. If you know how to do all of this, if you spend some time with the Tome of Ultimate Mapping, spend some time with the software, and you're okay with making trial and error mathematical equations, mathematical adjustments, you can make this style yourself out of basic Campaign Cartographer 3. I do not know how to do that. I'm not that good at it. But I guarantee you there's some of you guys that know how to use displacement, color keys, blend modes, all of these graphic effects, know how to key it in and make it happen to you. From the basic Campaign Cartographer 3 software, Dungeon Designer 3 software, you can make a custom draw set that will give you this kind of stuff and more. So don't give up on the software, man. Play with it, have some fun with it, trust yourself with it. Acknowledge and expect to make a million mistakes as you go forward to learn how to do it better, because there's easier programs out there. Incarnate's easier, Dungeon Draft is easier, lots of stuff is easier, but I don't think there's as much that's as versatile and customizable. Therein lies the rub. I can do all kinds of crap with this that I can't do with some of your other proprietary free use software, because you only get to use what they let you do. You can't really get behind it and break it apart and add new bitmaps and add new symbolisms, all that kind of stuff. So that's something you get with this one. But thank you for joining me for this live map stream. Thank you for joining me on Facebook for this free drawing session. We were just kind of playing around, and like I said, I'm going to continue doing some tutorials that'll address specific things in the Tome of Ultimate Mapping. But yeah, at least once a week, I just want to sit here and draw. But whether you're live, whether you're catching me on YouTube, I appreciate your time. And until next time, stay safe.